When we think of that aspect of, when the standard is doing your best, if you are a person who has high standards, you're a person with expectations, a tendency towards being a perfectionist, these pieces are really challenging. So if that's you, I'm looking at you, fellow leaders, then to operate like this is asking for trouble. So strategy is about saying no to good things. I want you to be strategic. Consistent, yes, but strategic about it. And so what you need to do if you're going to actually be strategic is to realize that all opportunities, all demands are not equal, and you cannot treat them as such. Lately, I've been seeing more and more of this approach being pushed on multiple fronts around getting people to not be strategic and getting them to see everything as equal. And I think it's really dangerous. We all filter out and then tune in to specific things based on how we're wired, what our disposition is, the aspects around our beliefs, what we're focused on. And so the people most likely to pick up and run with these ideas of the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, those people are typically going to be the people who are already overachievers. So what I want to say is, let's not give these helpful reminders to people who already have a tendency to overachieve and work too hard and be perfectionists. Let's not encourage or justify this behaviour by continuing to push these ideas. Like anything, there is always an element of truth in some of these things. So I absolutely accept that life and mastery are a journey. And so we can't expect the results or mastery to come without running the reps, without that repetition. So the element of truth in these sayings is that how you do small things is important, but I am always wary of positions that put forward an idea that ignores context. Remember all of the things that we've talked to in relation to cultivating a both and mindset. I continue to remind you that whenever you find yourself or feel yourself being one-dimensional or going to the extremes of a spectrum, then I want you to pause and ask some questions of yourself and others. Because a realization that we are being one-dimensional or going to extremes is a really helpful kind of gauge or prompt to reflect and say, if what I'm trying to cultivate is a both and mindset and is to have that broader lens to not pick either or, then if someone is giving me advice that is really pushing one side of the equation, I need to ask questions. Or if I am behaving in a way or making decisions in a way that is one-dimensional and at an extreme, I need to ask myself questions about where is that coming from? Is this how I want to behave? Overwhelm, a lack of fulfillment, burnout and feeling disillusioned, any of those feelings which are so common with leaders, whether people are being open and public about it or not, I guarantee you it's happening. I'm seeing it all of the time. But any of these feelings come when you feel like you've done all the right things, you've ticked all the boxes, you've done what was expected of you, and yet you then realize that that has led you to live someone else's idea of success. So you feel that resentment. You feel burnt out. You feel disillusioned because you're thinking, hang on a minute, this isn't how it was meant to go. I've done what I was meant to do. I've pulled my end of the bargain. This is not how I thought I would feel. This is not what I thought my experience would be. The question, when we've done that chasing down, ticking the boxes, doing what was expected of us in this one-dimensional way, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, do you want an empty inbox? No missed calls, the perfect body, house, kids, partners? Do you want to be everyone's go-to person who always says yes, always delivers, always gets it done, no matter what? Or do you want to figure out who and what matters to you and show up in all your glory there for those people and things that you actually care about? Do you want to then do a good enough job on the things that you don't love but that do have to get done and just say no or ignore everything else? Because when we think about these ideas and we kind of put them together and we say, okay, I'm going to choose what to be bad at. I'm going to be strategic and actually say no to some good things and not prioritize them. And then in the middle there, I'm just going to be willing to be average and just do a good enough job on some of those things that do have to get done but are not my priorities or are not my focus. In doing that and making those decisions, you are going to have to let go of some of those pieces in the first category of being the go-to person, of always delivering, of always having an answer, of always saying yes, regardless of how busy or the other demands that are on you. You may not have the perfect fill in the blank, whether it was the body, life, house, partners, kids, whatever is important to you. They may not appear perfect anymore. That word appear is important though, because even for the people who appear to be perfect in those categories, they're not, I guarantee you. No one's perfect. So the perception of perfection is purely a facade. It's not true. But we have to start to let go of some of the aspects around identity or ego or worth that are tied up in the kind of approach that is so unhealthy, connected to this desire to do everything perfectly and to do everything and value everything the same way.